There's something about the word resurrection, which literally goes hand in hand with the iconic slasher Jason Voorhees. It has been close to 4 decades that Jason Voorhees has been busy terrorizing Camp Crystal Lake, and honestly speaking, this often makes one wonder if the man ever really gets tired. We have seen Jason Voorhees get submerged in toxic waste, incinerated beyond recognition, blown to bits, dragged into hell, and as if all of these aren't enough, he has even had a motorboat propeller driven right into his head. But there happens to be literally nothing, and would sincerely like to stress on the term nothing here, that can actually stop this bloodthirsty, incredibly disfigured maniac. Somehow, he has always managed to slash and stab his way out of things, and to this very day, Jason Voorhees continues to top the list of the scariest serial killers out there, with an ever-increasing kill count. In today's video, we will go deeper underneath his signature hockey goalie mask and uncover 10 hidden powers of the exceptionally strategic Jason Voorhees that we're sure fans even don't know about. We suggest that you stay tuned until the end of this video to understand the underestimated abilities of his body. Now, let us take a dive deeper into Crystal Lake, shall we? But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you enjoyed our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin. Jason's unyielding ability to return from death. You might think that you've defeated Jason, but remember, he came always to be raised from the dead, and every time he revives, he becomes all the more supreme. You cannot kill him no matter what you do, and even if you condemn him to hell, it will be more like a temporary solution because he will come back for you. Now, every time Jason gets revived, he becomes stronger to the point that he can tear apart a man's heart using just his hands, toss a fully adult man by the arm, and with such force that it will ultimately tear apart the person's limb, and add to him knocking heads off just by punching. Post his resurrection, he can withstand unspeakable damage and at the same time cure himself of every injury no matter how severe they are. Our man has been stabbed through the eyes, brought down by a shotgun, and even impaled by his own machete, but he seems to be doing just fine. It's like he is immune to pain. You can electrocute him, set him on fire, and blow him up too, but you will still not find him slowing down. Speaking of blowing him to bits, Jason's hypnotizing heart can make a person eat it, which is pretty gross to be honest, and once when a person eats the heart, he will be possessed by the soul of Jason. While Jason usually prefers to be reborn via another Voorhees, he can still be in possession of anybody he wants through oral contact, which will eventually have the host melted in the most horrific fashion. Now, if the host that Jason is in possession of somehow gets killed, he will take the form of this parasite-like entity known as a hell baby and simply move on to his next target. Now comes the most insane part. Jason can even survive without oxygen, but this particular ability usually comes with its limits, and thank God for that. Jason is better off without his machete. Throughout the movies, Jason is constantly seen wielding his signature machete, right? So, while this naturally makes the weapon and his hockey mask the two most important things that are always associated with his character, he is a lot stronger than one can possibly even think of. Jason conclusively possesses superhuman levels of strength. After all, what else are you supposed to make out of someone who can smash through walls, break humans in half, lift people off their feet, add cars to it in the list, punch through a steel door, crush skulls, and decapitate someone with just a punch? If we recall these incidents, he clearly did not need his machete to commit such appalling acts of violence. Now, if you guys are well versed with Friday the 13th Part 6 Jason Lives, you will remember Jason getting inadvertently resurrected by the character Tommy Jarvis when the latter attempts to destroy the mass murderer's corpse. Well, it is only fitting to say that post-that Jason, in terms of his physical strength, has become titanic, and his feats of superhuman strength have crossed all boundaries. Jason is impervious to pain. Okay, we're not saying here that he does not feel pain. He is a human at the end of the day, but he is typically shown to resist physical pain, and for that you can blame his exceptional tolerance levels. He is shown to resist pain even when he has been impaled to the head, has a machete sticking through his shoulder, and has his head hit with an axe, and even has his legs stabbed in the process. All of these would otherwise disable or, in the worst case, kill a regular person, right? But Jason, on the other hand, seems to be doing just fine. As an undead, Jason is seen not responding to pain anymore and can function pretty well in circumstances that would otherwise immobilize an ordinary being. But having said that, in Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday, he's seen screaming in agony when the FBI is shooting at him. Jason possesses stupendous levels of regeneration skills. Now, when we say stupendous, we really mean it here. We're talking about having the ability to regenerate literally any damaged tissue, and may we add, at a remarkably expedited pace. No wonder Jason can go through fatal gunshots and knife injuries and still be absolutely okay to carry on with his killing sprees. Hell, it would not even slow him down, as his regenerative ability lets him revive from almost every wound. Although he can to an extent be debilitated if one can manage to chain him to the bottom of the crystal lake, even then, he will have his perfect health intact to do the consequential damage. I will remind you that his constant regeneration isn't ideal because he still has his bones and deteriorating tissues exposed at the end of the day. After Jason becomes undead, as seen in the 6th installment, his physical body becomes fully insusceptible to things such as viruses, bacteria, poison, and other detrimental contaminants. Jason has the nefarious power to possess and control others. As seen in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, after his remains were sent to the morgue in Youngstown, Jason ended up possessing the coroner who was in charge of examining him. For those of you wondering how, well, he only had to hypnotize the coroner into eating his heart, which the latter, no points for guessing, did. It is only fitting to say that Jason kept passing his demon-infested heart from one host to another. Please note that when Jason possesses a person, he can control the being entirely by pretending to be who he wants to be, and thereby confuse others in the process. Would you believe us if we told you that Jason has even gone to the whole extent of desiring to possess the body of an infant child? Well, it is a different thing that he couldn't do so at the end of the day, but the alternative that he went ahead with slithering into the dead body of his half-sister Diana still sends chills down the spine. Jason has turtle-like movements with ninja stealth. One thing that really amazes us is the fact that Jason literally does not make any sound when he walks, and while he appears to walk quite slowly, he's still successfully able to catch his victims off guard. It is still a mystery how he manages to make himself go completely unnoticed and then simply walk up to his chosen ones to deliver them the most brutal of deaths. Also, add to this his capability of slaughtering hordes of people in a particular house, and while he is at it, no one can even make out that he is there in the first place. Oh, did we also mention the fact that he can swim too at an unbelievable speed? Jason can teleport. While it is still not specific as to how Jason became a recipient of his teleportation skills, he somehow just manages to teleport wherever his victims are. For instance, there was a time when he just appeared on a ladder that had one of his victims climbing, only to kick the ladder off. We will be referring to 2 more instances here. The first one has him immediately going underwater without making his victims realize or even making them feel the slightest ripple in the water. The second one has him at quite a distance from a couple, and with them gearing themselves to drive away, he simply appears right next to them and successfully impales them using his machete. Jason is quite the swimmer. Despite the fact that he drowned as a child, his advanced swimming skills and adaptation really deserves a mention here. In Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Jason is seen swimming from Crystal Lake to the streamer Lazarus in the ocean, and like it or not, it will only take someone with aquatic prowess to do something like this. Jason can resist psychic influence and manipulation. Jason boasts extreme levels of mental fortitude, and there is no denying that. Who would forget the psychic versus Jason sequence in Friday the 13th 7, The New Blood? To those who cannot recall, the scene has the telekinetic Tina Shepard unleashing her psychic powers against Jason, but her mind-based power seems to have no effect on Jason. She is seen using her psychic abilities to shut and lock the door, and even has a table placed against the door to stop Jason from reaching out to her, but it is not a big deal for Jason, as he's seen making use of minimal strength to open the door with nothing but ease. Tina even has a sofa hurled at Jason, but the latter gets up quickly. It is after she drops the roof of a house porch on Jason that he slows down a bit, but this is only for a very brief period. Jason can create improvised weapons. We know what you're thinking here. After all, his favorite weapon is his signature machete, with which he carried out countless gory kills, but please know that Jason has the skill to use literally anything, for that matter, as a weapon. With whatever he has at his disposal, he can instantly use them, and for effective results, may we add. This shows Jason is quite proficient in terms of his weapons, and if we take a look at the 10th film in the franchise, his iconic machete was replaced briefly with this very large surgical, machete kind of blade. Also, we'd like to add that Jason is very strategic. He likes to plan all his skills, and even has bodies arranged to use them as barricades. Marvelous verdict. Well, that is all for today, and with this we finally come to the end of our video here. So what is it that intrigues you the most about Jason Voorhees? Have you seen the entire franchise? What is your favorite Friday the 13th movie? We'd love to know your thoughts on the comment section down below. Also, stay tuned with us as we promise to come back with more exciting content. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.